Welcome back, viewers. Today we'll be looking at the Postman tool. Postman is an amazing tool which can help with your development, documentation, and even increase your test cycle. It is a REST client, and all of its features revolve around the APIs and their life cycles. To get started, either we can use the web version on a browser or we can go ahead and download the desktop version. I'm working on a Windows machine, so we're gonna go ahead and download it. Postman is free to download and use, but there are some premium features which they provide, like team collaboration, custom domains. If you need any of that, you can check that out. We won't be using those features in this video. Let's go ahead and log in on the web version first to get the look and feel of it. Then for the rest of the video, we'll be using the desktop version. Using the web version does bring out the convenience of avoiding installation, but the desktop version can provide performance advantages. After login, we see some options at the top here and some on the right. We'll be exploring the most used ones. On the right hand side here, we can see the activity log, which shows the trail of changes to our workspaces. It's more like a history. Both the web and the desktop version offer similar features. Let's switch to the desktop version here. You can work offline with the desktop version. Once you launch it, you can see almost all the options available. In the desktop version, you may not sign in based on your choice. Though sign in enables some of the features like you can sync in your progress with the online cloud, which can help keep a copy. Without sign in as well, you can continue using it. Once the sign in is success, we can see all of the workspaces synced to the local. All the saved collections and API will be available now. Now, once we select our workspace, we can see the activity log here. Workspaces are logical separations. They're very useful in the earlier maintenance of the project, especially if you're working with multiple projects. Let's see what all options we have here. On the left side, you can see all the options what we saw in the web version. In the middle, we have this activity log, like the history, and on the right, we have the overview of the project. From here, we can navigate through our workspaces. On the right, we have the option to invite capture request. Capturing requests can be helpful when you want to capture all the traffic, that may be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or whatever, to the server. Then we have option to invite, change the overall settings, and upgrade. Now we have some collections already created, but we'll go ahead and create a new one. Later we'll come back and check the existing ones. After clicking on new, we can see all of these options. Let's start by creating our own collection. We're going to call this shop payment service. Now right under our new collection, we see 4 new tabs. Let's look at them one by one. First, we have authentication. Authentication adds an authentication header. Within whatever request we send, whatever value we input, it adds it as a token. Then we have pre-request scripts. These given scripts execute before each request is made. So they could help us pre-process any requests, like converting the body, adding any additional headers to the request, things like that. Then we have the test tab. Once a request is complete, we can provide a test script to assert the response, like validating if response time is within a defined time, things like that. And then finally, we have variables. Variables help us define key value pairs. Later, we can use this variable and map these in our requests. So, one of the big advantages is we do not need to write each and every time, they can be common within the same collection. Let's add a new request to this collection. To add a new request, we have two methods. Either you can right click on the collection or you can click on the 3 dots and click on add a request. Let's go ahead and rename this request. Uh, let's call it payment service. Let's call it payment status. Okay. Here you can see the list of requests which are possible. Let's start with a get request. Let's give it an endpoint. I've taken a dummy service endpoint for this tutorial. Now let's go through all the options that are available. We'll start with params. Here you can provide any query parameter which gets appended in the URL. The server can make dynamic decisions because of these parameters. Then we have authorization. It is the same as collection level authorization. The only difference is we can either choose to inherit it from the parent component or we can define it explicitly. Next, we have the header tab. This tab allows us to provide the required headers for the API. As you start typing in the key, it will give you the standard suggestions. Next, we have the body. The body is the actual data pack, which will get sent as the payload for the API. In the body, we have different types of data formats which can be sent to the server. One of them is form data. Form data can help you send files or pictures as well. The most common form to send data is JSON, which you can find under raw. The pre-request script and the tests are similar to the collection, just that it applies only to this request. Whereas if you put these under collection, it applies to the whole collections request. The calling of an API generally depends on the implementation, but using these options, you'll be able to call most of them. We can see the sample result of the API. Let's try adding a test scenario. Yeah, here we can see the response time. So far, we've only used the API in the context of an environment, but in reality, we generally have multiple environments like dev, pre-prod. So for multiple environments, there will be multiple URLs, multiple client IDs, and secrets. In order to easily switch between the environments, we can define our variables under the environment. Now let's go to the environment tab and explore it. Now we already have some existing environments here. We have a global environment. As the name suggests, it's global, which means it applies to all. Now we'll go ahead and create a new environment. You can click on new or the plus icon. Now we'll rename it. Let's call it something which we can use for dev. Let's add a client ID and a client secret. For client ID, we can keep it as default. For client secret, let's select it as a secret. Let's give them some values. And to finish, click on save. We're going to repeat the same steps and create a pre-prod environment as well. Now let's go back to our collection and try using these variables. On the top right, we have the option to switch environments. Let's start using our dev environment. Now to use our variables, we just have to put a curly brace and the postman will predict us the environment variables. Just hit enter and postman should automatically resolve them. Let's test the API. Let's save it, run it. Yeah, let's try using the base URL variable. This variable is in our collections environment variables. So this variable would be global to the entire collection. Let's try hitting this API. Looks like there's something wrong with the base URL. Let's check it out. Okay, we'll have to update this value. Okay, let's save and try to edit again. Yep, there we have the response. Let's document our newly created API and publish it. For that, we'll click on the three dots and click on View Documentation. Here we see the Postman already provides us a dummy. Let's go ahead and edit it. Once you're done editing, to publish it, just click on Publish. Postman will take care of the rest. Here we can review all the changes and all the final things before publishing it. Select your environment. You can keep the other things default. And we can go ahead and publish it. Now Postman has given us this link. You can share this link within Teams to share your documentation. Now Postman has another interesting feature. It gives us the option to create the code right into the tool itself. On the most right, we have this option. We can select the language to get the code. Try running this code on your server. It should work. So far, we've been consuming APIs. Now, Postman also gives us the option to plan and develop an API. Let's create our own API. Select API from the left menu. You can see some of my existing APIs. Let's create our own. Click on the plus icon to create a new API. We can provide the name, the version, the schema type, and the format, whatever is relevant, and we can create the API. Once it's created, click on the version to display it on the left side. On the top, we can see its status. It's in planning state. Now let's see each tab one by one. This is the definition tab. We can use it to define our API in a JSON format. Now, based on this definition, when we move to documentation, Postman creates an API document. The test tab allows us to create a test plan. Now, once we move to the deployments tab, it has the option to directly publish the API to the AWS API gateway. It even allows us to do versioning, which can help us track different versions. Once we're done with it, we can click on Generate Collection. Now, there are other ways to export your collection as well. Let's look at another collection I have imported, the Swagger Pet Store. It has a lot of APIs and all the documentation is complete. We're going to export this. Now to export this, we click on these three dots and we click on export. This will export our APIs. Now that we have exported our APIs, there's obviously an option to import it as well. So once you click on import, you get all of these options. They're all pretty straightforward. You can use your exported API or any method to import it. Now before we end this video, let me tell you about this option called Explore. It has a list of all the public workspaces. Try forking any collection and explore the world of APIs. You can publish your own work. You can even see the trending workspaces. This is a whole new world for you to explore. Thank you for watching the video. Bye until next time.